All right, good morning, everyone. We'll call to order the Criminal Justice, Public Safety and Emergency Services Committee meeting for June 23rd. I appreciate you all being here this morning. First order of business is to approve the minutes of the prior committee meeting, which was 2 months ago. Hopefully you have a recollection of that. Motion Supervisor Conover, second. Supervisor Gilligan. Any discussion or questions on it? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carry. Privilege of the floor. Any comments? Member of the committee, public? Seeing none, we'll move first with the probation agenda. We've got a couple of items. The first is to ratify the actions of the probation department, excuse me, to apply for a 13A classification funding from the New York State Division of Criminal Justice Services in the amount of $13,140 for the term July 25 through June of 26. Give us a little background on that.
It's our pretrial services funding that we get from the state. Not a lot of money, but it does help support our pretrial services. Happens every year. Pretrial again is alternatives to incarceration, so that's a big push by the courts, and probation is very well involved in that and provide those services.
Okay, thank you. Motion to move this forward. Supervisor made a second. Supervisor Strainer. Any questions, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried. The second request is to amend the county budget to accept the Burn Crisis Intervention Program Award from the New York State Division of Criminal Justice Services in the amount of $431,150. There's a note here. It says it should be noted that we previously applied in conjunction with Big Brothers and Big Sisters to the Southern Adirondacks for this grant by means of resolution. It was submitted to the committee on November 19th, 2024. That the resolution is included with number 5 with this agenda. Anything else you have to add?
Well, as you indicated, so we did apply for this grant back in November, and fortunately, we're afforded the grant. So it's huge for Big Brothers Big Sisters. It's going to increase their footprint tremendously. They're going to be expanding their services, primarily prevention. I think so. Last year, I think the wait list with Big Brothers Big Sisters was about 200 or just under 250 children. So this is going to increase that access to those kids, providing those services. Again, this is not a grant that's typical for areas like the grants usually are afforded to larger metropolitan areas. So it's a great benefit to us, and we're looking to first formulate a contract with DCGS. So that's the first step. And then once that's finalized, we'll be developing contracts with Big Brothers Big Sisters. And once that process starts, we'll be coming back up, mostly to bring Bill Moon, the director of Big Brothers Big Sisters, to address any more like specific questions anybody has about his programming and what it entails.
All right, thank you for the background. Supervisor Driscoll.
Thank you, Chairman. Is that?
We need a motion first.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'll make that
Supervisor
motion.
Driscoll,
Yeah.
Supervisor Mayday. On the question.
Great, thank you. Is that also shared with Washington and Northern Saratoga and Southern Essex?
Covers the counties that Big Brothers.
Yeah, okay, so does that have to be ratified by those county board of supervisors, or you're not sure?
I'm not sure. No,
I can check with
defer to
Bill
the
on that, yeah.
Now or Bill, but I do know it includes, it's just not one.
The majority of the people will be, I think, Warren County residents, so that's good.
Yeah. I mean, they're looking, I think last year they served about 592 youth, so they're looking to go well beyond 6.
Great, thanks.
Supervisor Strainer.
So all this funding is going to Big Brothers Big Sisters?
Yeah, it's a pass through. It's a pass through. They needed
Take any administration fee or anything? Just all goes?
it goes to the funding for Big Brothers. Yep. They
Any other
needed a
questions?
governmental agency for the application process.
Any other questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Third item is a request to transfer funds from the probation budget, which is A 3140-110 salaries regular to A 3140-120 salaries overtime in the amount of $1,000 to cover possible overtime. Anything added? Need to add anything to that?
Just, you know, it's, just in case, we have, new staff that are one staff that's presently in the midst of peace officer training, which takes a lot of time. It's a lot of travel expense. So they're building up a lot of time, in the way with Nova time and things of that nature. It's gonna be difficult for staff to utilize that comp time. So we're just making sure that we can possibly pay overtime if need be.
Okay, thank you. Supervisor Driscoll, you made a motion.
Yes.
Second, Supervisor Gilligan. Any other questions?
Well, we're kind of putting the cart before the horse, aren't we? I mean, we're gonna expend funds that we might not need.
It's really to make sure that we have the overtime budget. Our hopes is to not utilize it, but it was brought to our attention, as far as time goes with the treasurer.
Can we do that? Yes, okay, thanks, Tammy. Tammy says we can do it, we can do it.
All right, all in
I hope
favor?
not to.
But no, I just never, if we asked for money before we've had to need the money.
Sure. Sure, understood.
Well, the alternative is to ask for it after the fact. Now, that's what this is, you know, keeping folks.
All right, all in favor?
All right,
Opposed, carry.
a vicious system then.
Anything else for us? Probation.
No, sir.
All right, thank you for being with us
Thank
this
you.
morning. We've got our district attorney with us. We'll take his office next. There's just two discussion items. I'd ask if you want, just go right ahead with both of the discussions.
Sure. One of them is just to let you know, we were granted permission to apply for the Crimes Against Revenue Program grant. We've been getting it. Boy, it's got to be 10+ years. We got it again. So we got a notification that we're getting that grant funding. So I just wanted to let everyone know, because you see me when I'm up here saying we're going to try to get it. And then the second one, and I think Supervisor Strainer had asked, we were applying for our crime victim grant a while back, and the issue of match had come up. I don't know if you recall that. We just got a notification that there will be no, again, they're waiving match. They've been waiving the match requirement for I think since COVID, maybe the year before. But I will say we've always been able to cover match because they let you cover it with space. So the county gives space for the program. We've always been able to do it without actually a financial outlay. But again, this year we've got notification that there won't be a match that's being waived again. Those are my only two things, but I'm happy to talk about either.
Go ahead, Supervisor Strainer.
So in your budget, did you have the money if we had to match? So would that be something that's gonna?
No, we don't even put any money in there because we've always historically been able to. And as I learned today, the best thing is spend it first and then ask permission later. I'm sorry. Like you said, you can't win either way, right?
Well, it's always easier to ask for forgiveness.
No, we've always, and when we were looking at this, we were looking at, hey, could we cover this without you? They also permit internships to work towards match. So there's a lot of ways to address the match without actually having to put the money for it.
Any other questions?
Okay, thank you.
Anything else for us?
That's it.
Just one general question. How is your staffing issues with your assistant district attorneys?
With the ADAs, we're doing very well. We did just lose a 3-year member of our staff. She was able to get something, just a higher paying position, which doesn't surprise me. She's great. We have a really good group. And so it really made a lot of sense for her. So we supported her in that move. And I will say that we were really fortunate because one of our summer interns just graduated college and just joined us 2 weeks. So it was pretty easy, smooth transition. So we're really kind of excited about that. And she already, part of it, and the public defenders may experience the same thing. We work in very specific software. Most people you're looking at have never worked in that software. By having the intern, she had already spent a summer with us and was at least somewhat familiar. So she comes in with an advantage. So we've had a lot of good luck with our internships developing into other things.
Perfect. Thank you.
Just
Question
a
from,
follow-up on the chairman's question, Jason. The 3-year employee that you lost, was that to the public sector or the private sector?
Public sector,
Public sector.
down in Albany.
Okay, well,
Yeah, she's down in Albany.
I think that's important for us to recognize when we we look at budgets and we look at how much we're paying individuals. It's tough to keep up with Albany
Yeah,
though.
and this particular employee was from Albany.
Okay,
I think there was other reasons motivating
Sure.
that. But obviously money is a great motivator.
Yeah.
And that was a big increase for her, which was great for her.
great.
anything else for District Attorney? Thank you very much for being with us. We
Thank you,
appreciate it.
appreciate it.
Thank you for the information. The signed council, I don't see our signed council here. County Administrator can fill us in. I think though, this is just one request to amend the budget. The amount is attached on the attachment. So you have information?
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Basically, they're receiving a grant of $18,000 to aid the Fourth Family Defense, which is child welfare. You have there, the $18,000 comes from ILS, Indigent Legal Services at state, going into 2 accounts. Fourth Family Defense Quality Improvement Consulting fees, $15,000, and Fourth Family Defense Quality Improvement miscellaneous fees and expenses, $3,000.
Motion to move this request forward. Supervisor Strainer, second. Supervisor Mayday. Questions for the administrator? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried. That's the only item for assigned council. We'll move on to the Public Defender's Office. Our public defender is with us. There's 3 items. One is to amend the county budget. That's the first item. Greg, you want to fill us in on that request?
Yes, thank you. Article 10 proceedings is named from Article 10 of the Family Court Act. It is a series of laws that govern who and under what circumstances the state may take children away from their parents based on abandonment, neglect, or abuse. It is a very complex and highly specialized area of the family law with life-altering consequences for both the parents and the children. 18B lawyers often lack the specialized knowledge or resources to provide meaningful representation to these families. Moreover, when an Article 10 proceeding is commenced, several government functions are put in motion, all incurring great taxpayer expense. CPS, Child Protective Services, investigators' time to both investigate and appear in court must be paid by the county. Attorneys are appointed for the children, which must be paid by the county. Foster care parents must be recruited, trained, and subsidized, all paid by the county. Most significantly, the untold cost of separating children from their families may address the safety concerns of the children, but the long-lasting impact of these separations are immeasurable. To address these concerns, the state of New York has dedicated millions of dollars to the Office of Indigent Legal Services, ILS, for the purpose of distributing among the counties by way of grant funding resources specifically earmarked to address Article 10 cases. This grant funding program is called the Upstate Model Family Representation Office Grant. There has been 4 separate cycles of this grant funding. For an individual county to access these funds, a grant application had to be submitted specifying what the county applicant intends to do with these funds in addressing these Article 10 concerns. Last August, our first assistant public defender, Aaron Coleman, who's here today to address any questions you may have, drafted and submitted an application for the Fourth Family Defense Quality Improvement and Caseload Reduction Grant. In December of 2023, this application was approved and Warren County was awarded $750,000 over a 3-year period to implement the plan set forth in the grant application. ILS has assured our county that while it is forbidden to make future budgetary promises, because of the success of their pilot programs in the lower counties of our state, it is very likely that this grant funding will be extended for years to come. On March 27, 2025, the County of Warren and the State of New York entered into a master contract that guaranteed that these 3-year state funding for this grant program would be guaranteed by the state. The particulars of Warren County Grant Program can be found in attachment C of our submissions for today's hearing. The major part of that plan is the creation of a public defender attorney whose practice will be focused specifically to Article 10 proceedings. While this attorney will also engage in other family court matters, their primary focus and role will be to specialize in and to deal with all Article 10 proceedings filed in Warren County. Another major aspect of our fourth family defense quality improvement and caseload reduction plan is the creation of and the funding of a caseworker whose duties will be specifically geared towards early intervention and trying to help families in need of assistance or an Article 10 proceeding is filed. This caseworker will specialize in accessing invaluable resources for families to utilize and to create a friendly, non-threatening avenue of communication between the family and child protective services, so that these two parties can work collaboratively instead of litigiously towards one another. While much of the implementation plan will be presented in the Public Defender's annual proposed budget cycle for 2026, today we are here seeking to take those essential initial steps compatible with county-wide budgetary practices to implement the grant program. Hence, our first request is to add a newly approved funding to the Public Defender's 2025 budget, which you just recently passed on the assigned council. Second, I'm here today to ask that we increase the salary of a non-union assistant public defender position, whose position will be to specialize in Article 10 proceedings. We are not seeking to create a new position. Instead, we are augmenting a currently vacant assistant public defender position, assistant public defender 3. As can be seen in Resolution 13, this position is currently at $84,465. We propose to increase the base salary using grant funds, not only to increase the salary, but to cover all legacy costs associated with this increase. The salary would be increased to $117,024 effective July 21st, 2025. It is our belief, forged by custom and experience, that in order to attract a highly qualified family court attorney whose experience in Article 10 proceedings and who's willing to focus their practice on these proceedings and to enhance the safety that is required and the training that is required and the experience and quality and dedication that is required to fulfill this position, this salary increase is essential. The last item is a simple budgetary reconciliation process of some 30 cents to add to the budget so that we can zero that account out. That being said, I'm open, and my first assistant who drafted the grant is open to any questions the board may have.
Well, let me move, first of all, on the item number 1. Let's get a motion on that. We can discuss that. Motion by Supervisor Strainer, second. Supervisor Driscoll. On the question, Supervisor Strainer. This is on item number 1.
Oh, okay, well, that's what I was gonna, the grant is for $750. It's over a 3-year period.
Correct.
Do you have to spend it before you get the money?
Yes, so we
Just
do,
jump right up
we
like
do quarterly claims. We spend it and we report on a quarterly basis and get reimbursed, much like most of our ILS contracts on the criminal end of things.
Okay, so you're only allowed $250 each of the 3 years?
Yes, that's my understanding. However, the contract was in effect, retroactive to January, to December of 2025. So, but yes, 250 per year is, but my understanding is that there is some flexibility in that, but I have to speak with the ILS family representatives to understand it a little bit better.
I think there is a rollover.
Definitely.
So if we don't spend it in year one, balance gets pushed over.
That would have been my next question. You're right ahead of me. Okay.
Other questions on item number one? I have just one follow-up. I noticed that you have to develop a plan for collecting and reporting data on key performance measures. So is that in place or being developed?
We intend to train a recently or hopefully recently hired, the job is open, we have multiple applicants. But part of the funding that we intend to submit in our 2026 budget is increase of, I think, $10,000 to $12,000 for this person's salary, specifically coming out of this grant to train that person to maintain data collection and reporting. It will not be, they frown upon the same data officer who's collecting data for the criminal funding grants. It will be someone separate and different.
Thank you very much. Supervisor Patrick.
So this number one item that we have a first and a second on, this is in fact us approving this proposed salary increase. Is that kind of what I'm understanding?
No, that's item number two.
Okay.
Item one is the ILS grant.
Okay, to amend the county budget, it says number one, the request.
Any other questions on item one? Supervisor Conover?
Yeah, just, and I know you know this, the Dollar Jew budget for retirement, or hospitalization, two examples, those numbers can move depending upon whether somebody has individual healthcare, family healthcare. As an example, I don't know what the budget is here, but is there some type of built-in contingency in some of the other lines that transfer dollars should, like some of the other lines that deal with, furniture and consulting and et cetera, if you needed a few $1,000s to transfer, you're in a position to be able to transfer those dollars?
Yes, and that will be reflected in our 2026 budget when we lay out for the entire board to see how the rest of this funding is going to be spent. Included in that will be some flexibility to cover unforeseen costs, such as legacy costs.
Thank you.
Supervisor Strainer?
That brings up another question. You're saying we have someone that you're looking to put into this position that's already on the books?
No,
Okay.
we have an already open position of law clerk one. And it's vacant. And we have multiple applicants and we should be hiring very soon. As part of their job, we would include, and we'll have to change the job description, but as part of their job, it will be to collect and report the data as it pertains to this grant funding.
So, if you hire someone that's in your office now, will you have to hire someone else that's gonna take the place of the person that you hired that's in the office?
No, it's the same person.
Okay.
That job, the law clerk one job is vacant right now. We're just looking to fill it, and when we fill it, we'll add these duties onto that job.
That amount of money that we would be paying that empty position, is that in your budget?
Yes, well, it will be in the budget, the 2026 budget.
Because where I'm getting at here is if you're taking somebody that's already here, we aren't really gonna have to be adding money to pay for their insurance and their medical and all that stuff.
Not at this time, no. That will come in our 2026 budget cycle. This budget, these proposals are to comport with the budgetary practices of the county, not to create new positions or add raises.
All right. Any other questions? Seeing none, all in favor? This is item number one. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Thank you. The second request was to increase the salary of that non-union position. Greg explained it. Is there a motion to move this forward? Supervisor Strainer, second. Supervisor Mayday. Questions and discussion on this item? Supervisor Patrick.
So we're going from the salary increases from 85 to 117. Is that correct?
Yes.
Is that what I got? I'm rounding, I guess, but how was these, like you made a very compelling case about how specialized this is. How was it handled prior, in years past without the specialized person?
Well, it's handled with serious questions as to meaningful representation. A lot of the litigation suffers from a lack of resources availability. It creates all kinds of communication problems between the litigants and CPS. So it's been very difficult, and quite often these difficulties end up perpetuating the case for over a year. I mean, once an Article 10 proceeding is commenced, it's the duty of the state to try to reconcile the children and the parents with a kind of reconciliation type plan. And try to encourage counseling funds that assist these people to get proper parenting skills. And if they fail after a year, okay, then they commence a permanent termination proceeding, which can result in permanent termination. So right now, it's very chunky, it's very difficult, it's very, very adversarial. The litigants are very suspicious of CPS. And what ILS has found in their pilot programs is that these cases, oftentimes you can cut off the filing of these petitions. They'll contact us, ILS investigators will contact us, tell us they want to interview someone, we'll reach out to them. Tell these people, we're your lawyers, we're looking after your best interest, we can meet with you, we want you to meet with CPS, we want you to work with these people, they're trying to help you. As long as they know that there's someone advocating for them, it seems to open the doors and keep the tunnel of communication much better. And there's much training. So how's it working now? Not well. And that's one of the problems that they're having. It's costing counties a lot of money. The cases are dragging on throughout the courts. And there's a lot of repetitiveness. These people come back into the system quite often. And what ILS is telling us is that their pilot programs are showing significant reductions in not only the amount of Article 10s that are being filed, but also the length of time in which these Article 10s are pending.
I mean, it's just, I think a major part of the program is preventing them from being filed at all. Early intervention, so that they aren't filed at all. So that we never even start with all of these costs and these huge processes. That is one major component of the plan.
All right, so just two questions then. So this, just so I'm understanding, this new Article 10 attorney is going to be somebody new that's brought in that has that experience?
Yes, that's our aim.
And then I guess my other question is, because we just approved increases for your office, if I'm not mistaken.
$10,000
Per attorney.
per attorney minus the department head, yes.
Right, so my question is, does this sort of open the door for the other attorneys to be disgruntled, and then next year at this time, we're talking about these, I don't know, bigger increases all over again?
So that's a great question, and I will tell you that we have made it perfectly clear to our attorneys that the $10,000 salary increase is going to be the last salary increase for lawyers for a while. There's a very strong concern amongst the county representatives of creating a lack of parity amongst the various departments in the county relative to attorney salaries. So we would not come back here for the foreseeable future seeking attorney raises. I will say, and to carry on the prior discussion you had with the district attorney, we just lost a very highly qualified attorney who received the benefit of that raise. She was making $98,000 a year, which is a fair and competitive rate for a lawyer with her experience. And we don't contest that at all. But she got picked up by a private firm and she's leaving this Friday. Her firm offered her $110,000. So there's that constant struggle, that the constant contrary tensions between having to keep our salaries in check. It's even harder for public defender because we're having these income streams, available funds from ILS. And they're saying, you know, to increase and retain attorneys, pay your attorneys more. But that creates a tension on the other side with other departments who have attorneys working for them, but they don't have that funding available. So we're trying to struggle with trying to maintain parity, to keep harmony amongst all the attorneys within the county employee, while at the same time trying to retain attorneys for public defender work. Which after a few years, it's a common experience. A lot of people get quite easily burnt out on public defender work because of the type of work it is, entails.
Thank you.
President Conrad.
Yeah, this is kind of in the same vein as my previous question. And that is, you're showing a budget, that, let's call it a year one budget. But it's a 3-year program. So if we assume, for example, some kind of COLA increase for non-union over the next 3 years, not a salary adjustment, but a non-union COLA increase, you could be looking at anywhere from 10 to 15% perhaps, just throw some numbers. And I was just wondering if we go out and we advertise the 114 and change, and we get someone, where will the COLA increases come from? And in fact, it could be in year 1, 2, or 3. Or are you thinking the 114 would be a year 3 salary? Would you have some contingency that you can go to make those adjustments?
Well, our county administrator has made perfectly clear that any ILS funding increase used to augment attorney salaries must include COLA increases, and there must be reserves earmarked for increases in those COLA expenses. So I cannot come back here and say, oh, there's an unforeseen COLA expense. The ILS funding is already completely earmarked. We need that from the county. That's not a position I intend to be in.
So that you're saying the budget will accommodate that?
There is a 3-year budget, which contemplates those increases for this, for this.
That's the answer.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. That's.
Yeah, it built it in. It did.
Supervisor Driscoll.
Thank you, Chairman. Certainly, talking about budgets is important, but I think, in talking to the, public defender, the district attorney, and even area judges in the past, we also have an ethical responsibility to create as even a playing field for both departments. And to, as you said, to prevent those the filing of the Article 10s. And I think you do that by having talent on both teams. I was watching the basketball game last night. So, you know, you have equal talent on both sides as you can possibly. And I think that's
true. And the CPS attorneys specialize in Article 10s. That's what they do.
right.
It's our hope to draw a candidate or candidates who have CPS experience and they have worked previously for CPS doing these Article 10s.
Any other questions? All right, this is item 2. We had a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried. The last request was to transfer funds. There's a motion to move that forward. Supervisor Strainer, Supervisor Gilligan. Any questions on that item? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? 1 second.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Greg. Appreciate your attendance. We've got our Director of Emergency Services with us, Anne Marie. Thank you. We've got 3 items. The first is a resolution request to amend Resolution 93 of 2025, appointing or reappointing members of the Warren County EMS Advisory Board for the Office of Emergency Services. You have the attachment. Anything you want to add to that, Anne Marie?
No, we're just doing that based off of a change to that particular agency, so they want to have someone else appointed.
Motion to move forward. Supervisor Gilligan, Supervisor Mayday, any questions on this? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried. The second request is to amend Resolution 492 of 2023, authorizing the chair of the Board of Supervisors to execute grant applications to New York State Division of Homeland Security and Emergency Services for the Office of Emergency Services. There's some language that's going to be added. I'm not going to read the resolved. You all have that in front of you. Emery, anything you want to add to that?
No, basically what this does is it gives us the ability to build more than match. There are 7 counties that are in this consortium that receive funds for the grant. And there's a 25% match. We're the fiduciary agent. We would pay that up front and then bill the counties. So those agreements have already been dealt with the particular counties. They're in agreement with it, and it'll just make the process a lot easier.
Motion to move this request forward. Supervisor Strainer, second. Supervisor Patchett. Any questions on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Third request is a resolution to request to amend the existing contract with Mountain Medical Services authorized by resolution numbers 110 and 420 of 2019 and 32 of 2024 to increase the fee for hazmat team physical examinations from $250 per physical to $260 per physical. Emery?
I don't have anything additional on this. It's just a basic little increase in the cost of the physical.
Motion to move this forward. Supervisor Strainer, Supervisor Patchett. Questions? Seeing none?
Question, what's the total annual expense, if you know, plus or minus approximate, is it more than 10,000 or less than 10,000?
It's less than 10,000.
So if it's well less than 10,000, then as the department head, I believe you'd have the authority to do this contract without bringing it through the board of supervisors. So we could move forward on the contract quicker. But if it's coming close to or going to exceed 10,000 in any 12-month period, then we would need board approval.
Okay, a lot of times it'll only fluctuate based on new staff that are coming on board to the hazmat team. So it doesn't fluctuate a lot. It's generally around 9,000 annually. So it would more than likely come in under 10.
I leave it up to the committee and to the department.
Anything else? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Emery, any other items for us?
Nope, we're just gonna try to stay cool.
All right.
Everybody else stay cool, stay hydrated.
Emery, a question in reference to the heat and humidity over the next couple of days. So National Grid usually is looking for cooling centers with backup generators. Are we in place for that if needed?
Yep, so the cooling centers have already been identified. They can be found on the Department of Health's website. We will continue to work with any of the municipalities, libraries, areas to get them set up for cooling center hours. So their hours and phone numbers are all listed on the state's website. So if you had any question about whether something was open or, because last year, I think it fell on Juneteenth as well. So there were some areas that were not open. So we kind of had to deal with that and make that something we take care of as well. But we do have backup generators if there's a need for that. So just reach out to us if anybody has a need and we'll see what we can do to take care of it.
Thank you. Our county administrator, follow up.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to commend Anne Marie and her team. They worked over the weekend to make sure these cooling centers were set up and operational for today.
Thank you, Emery.
Yep.
We appreciate all the efforts.
Thank you.
All right, the last office today is the sheriff's agenda. Our sheriff is here, just had to step out for 1 second, so just take a quick pause until he returns. Sheriff, you're up.
Morning.
Morning. All right, you've got 9 items. Some of them will combine. The first one is to enter into an agreement with Tyler Technologies for public safety records management and computer aided dispatch hardware and systems.
Yes, unfortunately, we're gonna withdraw this request for a month. This is something we're going to enter into. I just had a brief conversation with the county attorney. His office has some questions. It's a large contract. They weren't able to get, down into the details enough to be comfortable to move forward this month, but we're going to be bringing this back next month.
Okay, item number 1 is withdrawn. We'll move to item number 2, which is to enter into an agreement with ViaPath Technologies for correctional facility inmate tablet and telephone services.
We've been looking at a tablet program for the correctional facility for quite some time, actually several years. We're finally at the point, the doorstep, we were ready to make the leap. You're gonna see that there's no dollar amount listed for this. ViaPath will come in, they'll establish the network, they'll provide the tablets, they'll provide the maintenance, they'll provide the service. We will arrange and organize what programs are provided. There will be thousands for the guests in our facility. And we'll actually generate a little bit of revenue from this because use is going to generate revenue for ViaPath to cover their expenses. And there's built in for us to generate a portion of that revenue for the county.
Thank you. Motion to move item 2, Supervisor Strainer, second, Supervisor Mayday. Any questions for the sheriff on this?
Yep. You're saying it's gonna provide revenue. Who paid for this?
The inmates who use the tablets, if they're going to watch a video, if they're going to play a game, anything that is optional, there's a fee for that. We're going to provide a number of programs free of charge. There's going to be virtual visitation, which is going to reduce the one-on-one contact, reduce the number of people coming for actual in-person visitation. So it's going to be paid into an inmate commissary fund, then transferred into ViaPath through the treasurer's office. And then I want to say it's 20% of the revenues that are made by ViaPath are going to come back around to Warren County. It's hard for me to know what that will look like, how much that will be. If we decided at some point that we were going to separate from ViaPath and no longer have tablets, the only legacy that would remain would be the hard wiring that was run through the facility. Everything else would leave our building.
Who pays for the commissary money?
Family members of the inmates. So if I were staying at the facility and I wanted to have virtual visitation, if I wanted to play games, if I wanted to watch a movie, I would go and there's a kiosk in our lobby. I would make an entry and place money, and then that is drawn off from that commissary. There's a connection with ViaPath. There's really very little involvement from the county.
Supervisor Conover.
So you maintain security by controlling the programming.
It's going to be we had some reservations and questions from our staff. So it looks different in every facility, every county. I wanted to make sure that we took our time and let other counties overcome the hurdles, and they all have. And we paid visits to Saratoga County, Montgomery County, other counties. And if a tablet's going to be used, it has to be used inside a cell. So there's no potential for conflict between inmates because one might have more options on their tablet than another. And that will make for a quieter, safer, more secure housing unit. Every time someone comes into our facility, whether it's visitation or otherwise, there's a potential for the introduction of contraband. We are going to make it so that if you wanted to visit with one of your family members or loved ones, that can be done any time of day or night. It can be done within a cell. There's a vignette setting so that the only thing that is able to be seen on either side is a face. So if I'm visiting with you, Supervisor Conover, and I take that tablet and I move it away from my face, the screen goes black. So visitation can occur as long as there's funding in there to allow for that transaction to occur. I mean, it keeps that one-on-one contact low. We're still going to get in-person visits. That's naturally going to occur, but it'll reduce it. It'll reduce activity in the general housing units. But more importantly, they'll have access to thousands of different programs, whether it be parenting or resume writing. They'll create a sign-on that will work while they're staying with us. That sign-on will carry with them when they're released. They can go to the library if they have their own tablet, their own computer, they can continue education. I can't see anything but benefits from this program.
Anything else? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carry. Items 3 through 9 will combine. They each are to enter into an agreement for a uniform patrol officer to provide dedicated school resource officer services. Item 3 is with the Bolton Central School. Item 4 is the Hadley Luzerne Central School. Item 5 is the Johnsburg Central School District. Item 6 is the Lake George Central School District. Item 7 is the North Warren Central School District. 8 is the Queensbury Union Free School District. And the 9th one is the Warrensburg School District. Motion to move these items forward. Supervisor Conover Supervisor Gilligan. Questions for the sheriff on any one of these? Supervisor Patchett.
Does that mean the county would be paying for the patrol officer?
Each school district essentially establishes their own rate. Some are a little more than others, but we get reimbursed. It's a little higher if we're using an active police officer. Warrensburg Central School District, Queensbury Unified School District, both have full-time active members of our sheriff's office. So we'll establish a rate. Our fiscal officer, senior account clerk will come to a price that will look like for 1,512 hours for our agency to provide those services. And in January 2nd and June 1st, we'll receive 2 payments that will cover those expenses.
So essentially, the county will get zeroed out in terms of health benefits and all these types of things by each individual school district?
Yes. I mean, it's very close. We used to compute it to the penny years ago, but we would expend hundreds of hours of this clerk's time trying to navigate that. So each year we get it really very close. The county may come out on the high end sometimes, they may come out on the low end, but it's negligible.
Yeah, I guess I'm pointed in this way only because, you know, Hague is in an interesting predicament. To whereas our school district is in a different county. So we, we go to that county because it's that's where we go. And as long as I guess zeros at the county, that makes the most sense.
Yes.
Anything else, Supervisor Strainer?
It's just ratifying that we're gonna continue on with this process with these school districts.
Yes, I believe each one of these you currently have an officer in.
Yes, the only public school district in Warren County that we don't, the sheriff's office, is the city of Glens Falls. They have a police officer from the city of Glens Falls Police Department.
Supervisor Driscoll.
Thank you, Chairman. Sheriff, have you ever thought about the idea of working with the school districts and county officials to maybe share some stories about experiences at the individual school districts to kind of inform the public about the benefit of the officers?
We would
being
love to.
there?
I would welcome any opportunity at any location, anytime for myself, any of our SROs to come and share that. We are in these school districts because we have built strong relations.
Right.
And we hand select the officers because they work really well with children and our faculty. And there may be some officers that work for our sheriff's office that just might not be suited to serve as a school resource officer, so we don't select them. But Warrensburg was our last, and they went back and forth for a number of years. If you recall, they wanted an SRO, they didn't. We finally have one in there. It's Patrol Officer Matt Fish, and they love him. He's established an arm wrestling club, and they think the world of this young man.
I think it would be nice if, without, breaking any type of confidentiality, to kind of share some stories so that the public can better understand the investment that school districts and the county is making. And
You let me know when and what you think you'd like it to look like, and we will make it happen.
okay, great, thanks.
Thank you. Appreciate that. We had a motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carry. Thank you. Sheriff, we've talked to some of the other departments today about staffing. Just a quick update. You've had a lot of large scale events, probably starting with Americade and protests around the county as well. Can you give us just a little update mid-year, how you feel your staffing is holding up?
Well, we're staffed in really 3 primary areas. Our correctional facility, which is for the first time in a long time, fully staffed, and sadly, that is due to the closing of state correctional facilities. We have now at this point hired 13 state COs. They are performing exceptionally well. We're pleased to have them. They're experienced, they're mature. They appreciate being able to maintain and retain their careers. So corrections is doing quite well. Our overtime is lower this year than it has been in several years to this point to date. And I'm hoping if we can continue with those staffing levels, that trend will remain the same. Our communications center, we're on a thread with communications. We need 2 more communications officers. We've made it work for 5 years that I've been sheriff. We talk about it each year during our budget sessions, but I know that that's a big expense. So we're still trying to rebuild road patrol, our fleet, our vessels. That's something that eventually I'd like to do a communication officer 1 year and then maybe wait a year or 2 and do another if it fits into the budget. I know this was a really tight budget year countywide, so we knew we weren't going to ask. Our road patrol, we could always use more staffing, and when I was a road patrol officer, you could handle a call, whether it's in Queensbury, Lake George, Hague, and you might go 2 hours before your next call. That just never happens anymore. We're having days on a Thursday with rain occurring where officers are going call to call to call. They're extremely busy, and it makes it challenging for leave, if they want to take some time off with their family, especially as summer approaches. But we make it happen. And I know I can say with great comfort to all of the supervisors in this room that when you ask us, we're here for you, whether it's a parade or a community event. I do not like to say no. We figure out a way to make it happen. That's sometimes we try to do our best not to happen, reflecting in a little bit of overtime. But our officers are really in a good place. And we've gotten to a point where they feel the community connection. So they are willing and eager to do these types of community events. Anything that we can do that there's a positive impact, we love it. Americade for us, the weather didn't really cooperate. Saturday was a slower night. We were well prepared. Friday was busy-ish, but not compared to some years past. I couldn't give you a total on the number of infractions. We really shifted our focus this year to unsafe operations. And I think we really did a great job in maintaining, a really safe event. Our next one, we're gearing up for 4th of July. It's occurring on a Friday this year. Last year, we had 8 additional officers in Lake George alone, and we still didn't have sufficient staffing. I know that when people go to the village on the 4th of July, they want to watch the fireworks. And as soon as that final finale is done, they want to race to their car and they want to get out. And we're used to that. We try to do what we can to help get cars out of Lake George as quick as possible. But last year, we really had some disorderly guests. We had some people that were causing problems, similar to the activity we would see 20 years ago. We're preparing for that this year. We're going to really saturate Lake George Village with more patrols. We are in the final stages of developing a plan to do everything we can to dump the cars out of the village. Our goal is to get everything after the grand finale of the fireworks out of Lake George, out of the town within 45 minutes. Maybe a lofty goal, but that's what we're going to work towards. If you hear from maybe some of your business owners, we're going to take them north and south. And if they need to go left to get to their hotel, they're going to have to go right, get on the interstate, loop back around and come back in because we just want to vacate the village. We have a meeting coming up tonight for a car show. It's our 3rd meeting, so the plans are in a good spot there. All of our members, whether it's an investigator, patrol officer, someone that works in civil, the undersheriff, myself, car show is an all hands on deck event. We're all there. We do what we can because that's one that if we aren't really showing a strong presence can get away from us very quickly. It's a wonderful event. A lot of families are present, but there's always that potential for a catastrophe. And we've been doing, I think our team's done exceptional work over the past several years at really getting a handle on things. And we'll be in a great shape for that as well. I could comfortably say that we could use 4 more patrol officers. I use the number 4 because that would be 1 more officer per platoon, but you're not going to hear me asking for that for quite some time. We realize that we could use it. We're going to make do. We'll figure it out. The only thing that I would ask is if our overtime is up a little bit, you understand it's up a little bit because we are a little bit short and we're trying to support you and your communities.
Bruce, that's very informative for all of us. We appreciate the efforts that leadership and all of your staff does throughout the county. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the sheriff? Any other items?
One last question. How long have we had a police presence for at these schools? I'm referring to, items 3 through, 9.
Each school is different. They started under Sheriff York's administration. I could email and give you a hard number, but it's been well over a decade. It's been quite some time.
That's all. Thank you.
Quick comment. Thank you. Regarding the communications officers, I know a couple of the guys and they do excellent work. I was an elected official in City of Glens Falls when we were going through the process of moving our dispatchers up to the county, and that was a while ago. But in the 8 years I've served up here, I don't believe that I've heard one negative criticism from a Glens Falls resident, about their inability to get satisfaction when they call, one of the officers. Glens Falls PD is quickly notified, and they're right on the situation, as if they were sitting at City Hall. So I commend the county for really making that work over these many years.
Thank you. I'll share that with our team.
Thank you. We're going to move to privilege of the floor. Sheriff, you could just hang on for a minute. The county administrator wants us filling in on something. You may.
Can I make one comment on the?
I'm sorry.
comment?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
I just wanted, I've privately praised and thanked the sheriff and the undersheriff many times, but I wanted to do it publicly because the committee may not be aware of the amount of overtime his department incurs because of our juvenile delinquent detentions. They pop up sometimes with very little notice. And our court, sometimes we're stuck bringing a juvenile as far as Buffalo for the only available detention bed in the state of New York. And every single time the issue has come up, the sheriff and the undersheriff have done their very best to meet those requirements. And that requirement is always two officers, I believe, always two officers coming in for overtime to take that drive across the state of New York. On one occasion, they got there and they had to take the youth to the local emergency room, wait for the child, bring the child back to the facility. It's quite an undertaking, and I would be wrong to sit here and not publicly say thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. County administrator.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I mentioned at the board meeting that I was going to discuss sanctuary jurisdictions a bit. The county attorney and I have just talked. It's a very complex issue right now, and we don't have any clear guidance on a direction forward. So just let me review kind of what happened. Back on April 28, 2025, the president issued two executive orders, 14287, which was protecting American communities from criminal aliens, and 14288, which is strengthening and unleashing America's law enforcement to pursue criminals and protect innocent citizens. In 14287, and that's the one that applies most, it directed the Secretary of Department of Homeland Security and the Attorney General to, within 30 days, produce a list of sanctuary jurisdictions in the country. Now, I'd like to go back and say the term sanctuary jurisdictions has never been defined by federal statute. It's basically been a self-imposed designation by certain cities. It's a self-imposed designation by the state of New York. And it's never really been clearly defined what it is. But on the, regardless, on the 28th of May, as directed, the Department of Homeland Security released a letter. And I have to say, this is just editorial on my part. The language in all of these executive orders and this letter from the Department of Homeland Security are pretty, a little harsh. It says, the Department of Homeland Security says identifying states that are deliberately obstructing the enforcement of federal immigration laws and endangering American citizens. Sanctuary cities protect dangerous criminal illegal aliens from facing consequences and put law enforcement in grave danger. And we appeared on this list. There are 3,000 roughly counties in the United States. 400 counties were included as sanctuary jurisdictions, and we were one of them. That occurred on Thursday. Primarily, it popped on Friday, the 29th. Over that weekend, the National Sheriff's Association lodged a significant protest on behalf of sheriff's departments across the country, with the Department of Homeland Security, and on Monday, the list was taken down. And they produced an email address to send request for information. Our question has been, why was Warren County placed on this list, and what criteria is necessary to have us removed from the list? We had, as you know, an executive order that was in place until about April 28th, I believe, that prohibited our local hotels and motels from housing asylum seekers, migrants. There are so many different names now, immigrants in our hotels. And we let that executive order, that emergency order, run out when the state let their emergency order run out. And so we did not renew it. But there's never been any, had discussions with sheriff, never been any incident where our local law enforcement have not participated or supported, or we've done nothing to obstruct in any way any federal operation that might have occurred with, or state within our county. So we have no, right now, understanding. No one has responded to my request officially from DHS. They have not responded to requests from Representative Stefanik's office, and also NISAC has been involved. NACO has been involved, trying to find out what criteria, under what criteria were placed on this list. All I can say right now is we have no confirmation that we are still on the list, or we have no confirmation that we've been removed from the list, and we don't have any criteria that would justify why we were placed on that list. So the initial letter that was taken down from DHS said, each jurisdiction listed will receive formal notification of its non-compliance and all potential violations of federal criminal statutes. And then DHS demands that these jurisdictions immediately review and revise their policies to align with federal immigration laws and renew their obligation to protect American citizens, not dangerous illegal aliens. So we have not received any formal notification. We're hoping that we do, because there are indications in both 14287 and 14288 executive orders that federal funds will be withheld from sanctuary jurisdictions. And that's our biggest concern right now, that we aren't adversely impacted by any of this. So with that, I think that's all I know at this point. I do have several criteria that we hear are rationale for being included in this, but I don't think I want to go into those in detail yet, because they've not been confirmed by anyone. It's just word of mouth that from people I have talked to. And with that, because the county attorney had spent the weekend looking at the executive orders, I just turned to see if there's anything there.
No, the only thing I'd clarify is the prior emergency orders by Warren County did not prohibit a hotel or motel from housing migrants from another jurisdiction. It was that there was a process of approval that was required through the Board of Supervisors before a hotel could enter into a contract with another municipality, for example, New York City, to house migrants. But other than that, I have no further comment.
All right, thank you very much for that information. Is there any significant direct questions for the county administrator, the county attorney, the sheriff, reference to this?
Yeah,
Supervisor
one.
Driscoll.
Thank you. I'm, I guess, a little disappointed or confused why we haven't had more communication, without politicizing it, more communications with the Congresswoman or our two federal senators. They have our telephone number. I would think that, and it's not every county in New York State, although I'm sure that the city is on that list. It just seems to me that there should be more information. That's just a kind of a comment. It's not as much a question. I know you guys have been doing, laboring a lot of time and effort into this, situation.
I believe there were 6 cities in New York. The list has been taken down, so I haven't,
Okay.
you know, again, but I believe initially there were 18 counties of, depending on how you count counties in New York, up to 62.
Yeah.
I believe there were about 6 cities on that list.
Supervisor Patrick,
Is our thought, because we never took any action to get on the list, we shouldn't take any action at this point in time either? Because we really shouldn't be on the list to begin with?
I think my biggest concern is just the indication that federal funds, a
Yeah.
significant portion of our budget comes from the federal government. And any indication that there might be federal funding that's impacted by our designation as a sanctuary jurisdiction. I think we at least have to stay on top of it, so that all of a sudden we don't find that federal funds are not coming because we haven't taken some action that they haven't told us yet, but we have to take. I think we're just trying to be leaning forward and trying to find out what we need to do. And other counties are doing the same thing. We hope it doesn't result in legal action in the end.
all right, thank you. We're still in privilege of the floor. So any other comments from the committee? Any other supervisor, any other member attending? Seeing none, we appreciate all of the attendance today. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Supervisor Strainer, Supervisor Conover, any discussion or question on that? All in favor?
Uh,
Gary, we're adjourned. Thank you all.